Today we're back to meet another member of the 2024 Consultants Club, and today's guest is special because she's actually the first consultant we brought into Cox Consulting Network. She's seen almost 6 years of change from the inside, so I'm excited to hear what she has to say. I'm Andy Cox, founder of Cox Consulting Network, and today we're talking to senior consultant, founding consultant, let's just say, Keri Bryan. Keri is truly a rock star consultant, bringing an impressive array of technical skills. She's honed over 19 plus years in the industry. She's worked as an internal auditor, a controller, and a consultant outside of CCN. She's earned her MBA at Western Kentucky University, and as I mentioned, she was the very first consultant that we brought in.
Thank you, Andy. I was just in the right place at the right time.
I mean,
lucky.
Weren't we both? And here we are in a podcast room. This is just crazy.
Crazy.
First, let's just talk about finance and accounting. What is it that you love about finance and accounting? How did you get started? We heard about your background, but how did you get started in this?
Accounting and finance just appeal to my, sense of organization. And maybe I have a little bit of OCD nature about me as well. So it was just a natural fit for a career. But I am lucky that I do love what I do. The accountants prepare the financial statements, and that's the most important tool that management or investors or shareholders have when they're making decisions. The financial statements have to be correct. They have to be prepared in accordance with whatever the relevant guidance is. And now that I'm 20 plus years into my career, I'm an expert at what I do. And in consulting, that translates into me being able to pop in at a client and just be instantly helpful. And that is super gratifying. That's a really fun position to be in.
I don't know if the comedian wrote the script or not, but the very next question is, why are you still here? I love this. Let's just jump to the hard stuff. What in the world why are you still here? I'm kidding. You don't have to answer that yet.
Here at CCN because of you, Andy, and because of the leadership. Lisa, the Sarahs, everybody has been amazing. It's a true feeling of teamwork that I have with you guys. You put your clients first, but you also are really concerned about the consultants, and you work with the consultants at a teamwork level.
So I know when I introduced you, we talked about the fact that you've worked at other firms, but I'd love to know, one, how would you say that we compare to other firms? And then, two, how did you even get into consulting? Why was this something that appealed to you? I'd love to hear more about that.
Well, a long, long time ago, and I may have even mentioned
a long time ago.
When I was in college, I was looking for summer work. And so I had approached a small firm in Houston, and they ended up placing me at McDonnell Douglas, which ended up being my first professional position. And I had such a great relationship with that consulting firm. My husband and I had lived out of state for about 10 years. And when we came back to Texas, I sat out for 4 years. And then when I was ready to go back into the workforce, I just naturally went to another consulting firm. And I did some permanent placements with them, but also did several consulting assignments and just had a great experience with that sort of setup, that I ended up just thinking consulting's for me, and I'm going to just morph and stay into consulting.
And here you are.
And here I am.
And so I guess what's the, as you've almost been with us for 6 years now, projects, I guess, pretty much the same. Would you say there's other differentiators, or what are some of the things that you see that we're doing differently that maybe aren't happening at another firm?
Well, at CCN, I have a sense of true teamwork with the leadership. You and Lisa and Sarah. Obviously, you've got the client needs at heart, but you really also truly consider the consultant needs and the consultant schedules. And for me, the key has been the flexibility. So I think that's something that I've had here that I haven't had in other areas.
This isn't even a key differentiator of consulting, but, a lot of people join consulting firms because they're looking for flexibility. As accountants, most accountants in corporate roles are used to working nights, weekends, and holidays, as we say. And so, that means a a lot of holidays you're not with your family because it's quarter in.
Yeah.
Or even on the nights and weekends, there's deadlines. Not that we don't have deadlines as consultants, but I think it looks a little bit different when you join a consulting firm and you understand, hey, I know I'm getting more flexibility. One of the things that we try to build in that I think is different for us is that we say, hey, look, naturally you're going to get flexibility. But with us, just trying to really live out the mission of serving our consultants and making sure they're getting everything that they need. One of the very first things, as you remember, was that, hey, we're going to make sure that you get more of the bill rate, right? And so that's fantastic. Okay, so you get more of the bill rate. You could make more money, or you could use that additional rate per hour and work less hours per week. And so that really is important to us, but it's not important just from a sense of, hey, we're doing this because we know that, this will help us bring better talent, which it certainly does, but it also gives our peers in finance accounting a better work-life balance. And so, which kind of leads me into my next question, like, what do you do when you're not working?
Really, everything revolves around the kids, even though they're grown at this point. And the flexibility, it's funny you touch on that. Like, I'm sure you remember many years ago
Yes.
when I came to you and I said, Andy,
Oh my gosh, I forgot about
I
this.
only want to work 4 days a week. And I had never really had the chance to say that or make that work before.
Yeah.
And you did it. And my kids were in high school, and that allowed me to be more involved with their activities. I was working Monday through Thursday. And because I got more of the bill rate through Cox Consulting, I was still making more money than when I was working 5 days a week at another firm. And like, I was the band treasurer for 5 years. I was just really able to be fully immersed in those years when my kids were still around. And that flexibility was huge. And even now that my kids are grown, they've been in different states, and, I'm able to go visit them and, see the sites with them. So, anything related to family is, been really valuable in having that flexibility.
Mm-hmm. So I want to clarify something, because you mentioned what you asked for in your first project, which you said 4 days a week.
Yeah.
Okay. It was 4 days a week, 20 minutes from the house. And hey, by the way, I would like to make this kind of money. And I remember, because I'm like,
I remember 4 days a week, but it's much to hear your side of the story.
No. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
Very, very well. And like pulling a rabbit out of a hat, that first project was right down the road.
It was golden. I
couldn't have got luckier.
Closer. 4 days a week. It really changed my life. And having that time with the kids when they were still here was just so valuable. I was just so loving it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we both I certainly got really lucky in the fact that, the first project that I was able to find met all your criteria.
Yes.
I know that's not always been the case, almost 6 years going now. But hey, there's very few projects that you've been on where you haven't actually been offered a job, which is a huge, huge deal. So clearly, this has worked out, and you do a great job. We talked a little bit about, your kids and what you're not doing, or what you're doing when you're not working, which maybe is not doing anything. But curious, like, what else do you do? Like, have you ever been to East Texas?
I have been to East Texas a few times. And I think that's why we really hit it off. We both went to the same college at SFA.
Hi, Axum Jacks.
Both had land in the area, so we have all kinds of farm stories. Anything, getting outdoors, riding dirt bikes.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about like work-life balance and kind of how you get that, because projects still have deadlines and things need to be done. And it's not like we go into clients and they're like, oh, everything's good, welcome aboard. It's like you go in and hair's on fire, but yet you're still able to maintain some sense of, hey, you know what, I can leave this and go do what I want to do.
And I am whenever something needs to be done, I am definitely all in. It's usually, these are usually short-term situations. If there's an audit or a report, you've seen my time card before. There's been weeks when I've had a 60-hour week, but, so I'm all about going in and getting it done. But at the same time, with consulting, with that ebb and flow, you're able to say, okay, now this crunch is over. So I'm going to work 3 days next week or 4 days next week and kind of get back to whatever's going on at the house or with the kids. That flexibility has just been really key for, my success in consulting and my, the fact that I still love it. In consulting, you get paid for the hours you work. And when you're, an in-house employee, you get paid a salary. And I really love being in control of, my hours and my results. That's something I didn't have before when I was an in-house employee.
It's so funny you said the projects can be short. Really? Because have your projects been short?
I'm currently on a 2-year project. I've had a couple of 1-year projects, but within that, you've got crunch times. And then even within consulting, you might go in just for a crunch project. And then when that is over, you're able to then regain control. Okay, I did this. I worked 60 hours. I need a couple days off. And you can, you can do that in consulting.
Yeah, that's one of the things that you can do. Yeah. We talked about earlier, and I had a different conversation with another consultant, one of your peers, and we talked about not just the opportunity to ebb and flow with weeks, but, we have consultants who are like, hey, I have a hard stop at the end of May, and I'll be back in September. And we're able to do that, with enough notice to go to clients and go, hey, look, so-and-so has a hard stop at the end of May. And they're like, oh, well, so far out, it's not going to be an issue. And projects can go 2 years. And you know what? I look at that as our consultants having such great expertise and ability to get things done that they're like, man, please stay. We've got some other stuff that we would like for you to do.
Yeah.
So the flexibility can really be, I'll look at it sometimes, it's like, we were talking about your first project. Like, it's kind of like selling a house. Like, hey, here's what I'm looking for. Can you do this? Can I have a hard stop at the end of May? And I'm like, well, as long as we can communicate that to the client, probably. And so it's really cool to be able to meet people like you where they are with whatever they're doing in life, and to be able to go, hey, let's see if we can build projects around you, knowing that, hey, we still have deadlines with our clients. We still have a lot of stuff that we have to get done for them, but going in and giving them all the information they need to say, hey, yeah, you know what? This still works for us. They can still knock it out of the park.
Yeah, and that's something that I hadn't experienced in other firms. In other firms, you're just less in control of, your work-life balance, your hours, you're farmed out with less flexibility. And so that's something I've really, really enjoyed about CCN.
Yeah, that's been fun for me too, because I'm used to going into projects going, okay, here's what we can pay. And then maybe not even sharing the bill rate. Like, hey, this is what we think we can pay on this. And consultants are like, well, okay, I guess that's fine. But now, we flipped it all the way around and said, hey, here's what we think the bill rate is. Here's what we need, so we can keep doing this next year. And the rest goes to you. How do you feel about this? Oh, well, I think I'll take it, or like we can have that conversation. And what's really cool is we can even have that conversation with the client sitting at this table. I mean, like, hey, here's what the market rate we think is, Mr. and Mrs. Client, and here's what we need, and here's what Keri would like to make, and let's figure out what the budget is and if we can really make this thing work. So,
and I think the clients appreciate that transparency. I mean, with my bill rate and what I'm making right now, I am so happy. Like, I go into every client and I am excited to be there. I'm happy. I feel like I'm, valued.
Yeah.
Making the money that I need to make and, to have the work-life balance. But, you're getting a different level of consultants when you're paying them better. I'm excited to go in. I'm excited to go to the client. I'm excited to do a good job because ultimately I'm making so much more money than I had before. I mean, what's not to be excited about?
I love it. Tell me about some of your favorite projects or favorite places, or maybe a celebrity sighting or two. I don't know.
I mean, I've had a variety of really fun clients. I was out at the track, at a F1 track.
Yeah.
And I was doing an audit support job there, which I really love, audit support jobs. And they stuck me in just this little open cubicle that happened to overlook the starting line of the track.
And you're into cars, by the way.
Yeah, and there's, there's stuff going on out at the track all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one day there had been an employee meeting and I didn't go, but I was noticing they were pulling around a bunch of go-karts. And I'm standing at my window in my office, like looking out. The employees got to go do a couple of laps in the go-karts around the F1 track after the meeting. And I'm standing up there looking out the window, and some of the management walks by and says, you should go down. And I'm like, I'm a consultant.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, really? And I was like, out the door. I did 2 laps around the F1 track in a go-kart. I was like crying. It was the best day of my life. It just goes to show, like, you never know what's going to happen, and you never know what adventures are out there for you in consulting. I love the variety of getting to go different places. I told you the funny Matthew McConaughey story.
Yeah.
I was in an office that was in a string of offices, and one of the other employees came in and said, Matthew McConaughey's in the bathroom. And everyone just sort of like jumped up. And the manager of the department said, everyone sit down, don't go anywhere. And I'm like, I'm a consultant. I don't work for you. So I, of course, go.
Oh, this is a great story for our clients, by the way. Right.
So I go out the front door, me and a couple other people, and I looked around to the right, and I looked around to the left, and he was right there.
I love it.
And I was so caught off guard, I couldn't even think of anything snappy to say. And he just went, how's it going? And I said, oh, I'm just checking on the weather. Something stupid, but
something that you probably would have changed had you been a little more prepared.
Thought it through a little bit. Maybe I could.
They told you to stay in your seat. Okay, so you've been to Consultants Club.
I have been.
Maybe you were the first person at Consultants Club. So we had our very first Consultants Club, and we had Keri had reached 5,000 billable hours. She was the only one we took our first year, and we stayed at the Circa. Downtown Las Vegas to J.J. Cox's disappointment.
I had a great time. I saw parts of Vegas that I would have never seen.
Yeah.
If we'd stayed on the street.
Oh, we did a walking history tour.
That was my favorite part.
The pool experience.
Under the canopy and seeing all the old lights and the history. I really loved it.
So we're going again. So you're back going to Consultants Club. So tell me kind of what you're looking forward to, and what do you think about the event now, because you've certainly been there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not personally a gambler. I'm an accountant, and it's just not really in my nature to be a gambler, but there's so much to do in Vegas. We're staying at the Bellagio this time. I've seen that we have fountain view rooms. I'm just so excited. I'm going to do the walking tour again. My son's going with me. Even though I'm not a gambler, like, I went to see the Pawn Stars shop. I went to see the Shelby Museum. There's just so much to do. We've got tickets to go see the Cirque du Soleil at the Bellagio. I mean, I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, Vegas is so fun. You don't have to gamble to have fun in Vegas.
You do not have to gamble. Matter of fact, you might have more fun in Vegas if you do not gamble. Yeah.
You're happier when you go home if you have money left.
Yeah. It is. It really is a good trip. And that's one of my favorite things of the year, because how awesome to be able to go on a President's Club or Chairman's Club type event, but yet you're going with, consultants who really have got you where you are, have got the company where they are. And so how cool to be able to reward consultants in that way. And I think we're just getting started, we really do want to make that trip as special as possible. I think it only gets better. So hopefully this time when you go back, you're like, oh, my word. Like, I didn't know. I was the first one, and we were downtown Vegas, doing the Fremont Street experience.
But the Bellagio, oh, my gosh, that is really exciting.
Yeah, it should really, really, it should be a good time. So we're looking forward to it. And we're glad that you're going to be back there with us. I mean, now you're a 10th, we're going to have a 10,000 hour club, because you're certainly a part of that now.
Yeah.
So more to come, right?
Right.
I don't even know. I'm saying this on air live, like, hey, I'm about to release something big, but
And
man, it's been special.
it's also important to note that it's not just my hours. Like there's other ways to earn hours that you can probably expand on. So you're not just locked into, your own hours that you work.
Yeah.
You can bring people in. You can, there's a variety of other ways. So it's doable. It's not just a once every 3-year thing if you're working the system.
That's right. And we want people working the system because that actually helps other consultants. And just to expand on what you're talking about, like you bring in Marissa to the network, and Marissa will soon be out on projects. So you're going to be able to capture her hours when she starts working on projects. And like you said, you can get hours for bringing in other clients. So you could have, we have consultants who are going to Consultants Club for the next few years.
Right.
Already, because they've done so much networking. And we want to give consultants the opportunity not just to go on the trip, for bringing in clients and consultants. They also get a commission as a part of that. And so we know consultants are our best salespeople. And there's no doubt about it. The credibility y'all bring is huge to our network.
When you love what you do and you believe in your company, all that stuff becomes easy. Just casually networking. I met Marissa at book club, and it turns out she's this like rock star, person.
Yeah.
So I just naturally said, gosh, you need to look into CCN.
I would have never met Marissa, and I could go down a list of consultants who we would not know had our existing consultants, people that we love who do great work for our clients, said, hey, you should meet this person. Those people can be hard to find, but when they're introed, it's a whole nother level because you're like, oh, well, you work with Keri and Keri trusts what you do. Like, man, it's just it's a great way to get in clients, but it's a fantastic way to get exposure to people who may be interested in consulting. So great job, Keri. We'll see you next year, maybe.
So that would be fun.
Well, this has been fantastic. We should do this more often.
Should.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Keri. And for all of you, you can follow us at Cox Consulting Network on LinkedIn and other platforms for more interviews, market insights, and opportunities. And, of course, check out ccnserves.com to learn more about consulting, recruiting, and our new investor relations offering. So thank y'all so much, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, Andy.